Hello, it's the 25th of April and I'd like to pot up some of these seedlings into their final locations in the big pots in the greenhouse. They were all started about 6 weeks ago in heated propagators. For these plants, which I'll talk a bit more about in a minute, really the heated propagators were just to get germination. Once they start to get a little bit bigger, I've brought them down here into the greenhouse and allowed them just to get more sunlight and to grow. I have been a bit worried about some of the temperatures lately, but it looks like our nighttime temperatures now are going to be a few degrees above freezing at minimum. So I think it's probably a good time to plant out into pots, because I often think that once the plants reach a certain size, they're much happier being in their final location and seem to grow quicker. Although I'll be able to do a little bit of a test on that this year, because I'll plant the best of these into the pots, but there will still be comparable ones left before I give them away. So I'll be interested to see over the next 2 or 3 weeks how the ones in the big pots, their final resting place, compare to the ones that are still in the small pots. These are the ones I think I'll plant out. A couple need to get a fraction bigger. I'm using some of the tomatoes which I've grown in previous years and have been successful. Super Steak there, Green Zebra there, Griglietta there, Sun Cherry Premium, Delicious, and over here we've got Shirley. And I'm also growing some things, other things I've grown previously, like the aubergine, Blanica. I had a problem with the aubergine last year in that it suffered from red spider mites. This year, very soon, once it's planted, I'll be using a biological control for those, which I'll explain in the notes. The other thing I've done before is peppers with bellboy. That was quite successful last year. The new things, I'm going to give an okra a try, which I've never grown before, and there's also tomatillos, which I've not grown before, which I gather are used in Mexican cookery, and a light, small, rather tart tomato surrounded by a lantern-like covering when they grow. So I've not grown those before. I don't think I've eaten them before either, so that'll be very interesting to see how that actually works out. And finally, I'm going to try something which I haven't done for a little while. I've not been brilliantly successful at growing cucumbers in the greenhouse with tomatoes, but I'm going to have a go. There's a couple of goblin cucumbers there, which I'm going to put in the final 2 pots and see how we go with that. I've been trying over a period of time to make the plants in the greenhouse a little bit more self-sufficient, so that they didn't need somebody else to come in and water them if I was a couple of weeks away in the summer. The watering system has been very successful. This greenhouse now has an automatic watering system that I can leave for 6 weeks and the plants will still be watered. To see details of how that was set up, have a look at my video 50. I'll put a link to that in the notes below. The other thing I've been experimenting with in recent times is slow release fertilizers, again so things can be left for a period of time. The jury's still out on that, so don't take this as the absolutely right way of doing it. What I'm going to try this year, I'm just going to plant now this Shirley tomato in one of the pots here. Nice and moist, just right moist soil. That's another indication that this watering system is working well. Is to use some slow release tomato fertilizer in the bottom of the hole and around the top, and see how we go in terms of the plants making best use of that. And if that works well, then there should be less need, or even possibly no need, for regularly watering with ordinary tomato feed. And once again, things can be left. There's a lot of work to do in a garden, but I try and find ways of doing things in the most straightforward and less labour intensive way. Right, now to plant up the other pots. Okay, well that's most of the plants for the greenhouse planted up. There's a couple which were a bit small, and I'll leave those a bit longer before I put them in. Now the thing to do is just to wait and see how some of the experiments work, how the slow release fertilizer idea works in terms of leaving the greenhouse to itself, how the new plants work, how the okra grow, how the tomatillos grow, and also to see what effect the biological approach to red spider mites might have for this year. But I'll keep you up to date as new information emerges. As ever, I hope you found something useful or interesting in this video, and thank you very much for watching.